rifling through those long boxes.
Gotta be here, it's gotta be here, it's gotta be here. Aha! Here it is!
And bagging those books.
I'm out of bags and boards again.
Welcome to your home for Star Wars comics.
The Cosmic Force Podcast,
A Youtini Podcast Network production. And now, here are your hosts, Parker Kirk, Caleb Lamanek, and Jacob Bosch.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Cosmic Force, your bi-weekly Star Wars comics podcast. We're here on youtube.com/Youtini every other Wednesday, as well as your favorite podcasting app. This week, we'll be discussing Doctor Aphra issue 37. Thanks to everyone for tuning in. If you want to support our show, you can head on over to patreon.com/Youtini for where as little as $5 a month. You can gain exclusive access to the entire Youtini podcast network of shows. And with that out of the way, let's hop into it. Welcome back, everyone. Oz, Caleb, how are y'all doing this week?
I'm doing pretty fantastic here. It's been a kind of a good time to be already caught up in comics, as all the new ones that are coming out are working some really great stuff here. It's a great time because I've been going back through some old tales of the Star Wars tales that are actually really, really good. And we just got a lot of stuff coming down to Youtini pipeline. I've started season 3 of Dice Wars, so that's always a little exciting there.
Nice.
Finally putting some actual work back into that. So it's been great.
Well, that sounds good. Although I don't know if you can have as good of a week as Oz is having right now, because Oz, you let the people know.
Well, if anyone who remembers from 2 weeks ago, I had my Rangers jersey on. Last night, as of this recording, you can see some decorations behind me. We won the World Series. In fact, Jacob, by request, I do have
sweet
a World Champions hat. I just picked this up today. And I don't have the jersey on because it's a little cold in my house, but it's sitting on the back of my chair. The night we recorded last, we lost 10-3. One of 3 straight games we lost, but then we came back. And I'm doing that thing sports fans do where I say we. Obviously, I had nothing to do with this. I was at game 1 of the series, one of the most fun nights of my life, especially related to sports. It was a blast. But I did nothing to earn this other than grow up in Dallas, Texas, and wait for 35 years. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. So sports fans out there, you should have your team win a World Series sometime.
That sounds like a blast. I know, Caleb, your team won in 2021 with the Braves, right?
I have their hat lying around here somewhere. I think it's downstairs. So that's what I was looking around for mines. But yeah, you should absolutely do it. So well, Jacob, which one is your team? Is that the
I don't have a baseball team. I grew up in an area without it. No, Indiana does not have a professional. We have a minor league team, the Indianapolis Indians, who I think we're the Pirates affiliate now. We used to be the Expos back in the day.
Minor league is so weird how they do that.
They can swap around. I follow a handful. I'm a Carolina Hurricanes fan. They won the title before I watched hockey. I'm a Colts fan. They've won one title in my life, and since then have been pretty garbage. And then Pacers never won a title ever. And Purdue Sports also never won a title ever, unless you count the 1939 retroactive basketball title we won. Then
that counts in my book.
Yeah, we hung a banner. So
it doesn't take a lot to get a banner, as some teams know.
I was about to say, sure, but it's weird because Ohio has at least 2 Major League Baseball teams. Is it 3 or 2?
I think
just the Reds and the Guardians now.
Yes, yeah.
That's right. I forgot the Reds.
And two football teams as well. So
yeah, I'm spoiled.
Bengals and Browns.
We've got a lot of everything.
Yeah, you got like 30 teams across the major sports.
We literally played the other Texas team to get to the World Series.
Right.
Which was a really fun in-state rivalry, and also the Astros suck and they're cheaters. So,
boo. Wes isn't on air regularly anymore, so he can't refute that. So
yeah, he can't come back. The living force is gone.
He can't defeat his crappy team that lost to the Braves already.
He's out back banging a trash can somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. So yeah, win sports. It makes your life a lot more fun. Speaking of we also have fantasy football is going on right now for Youtini. Eric also not giving fantasy sports updates. Oz, I don't know how are you like middle of the pack
I
ish?
think I'm nearly tied with you, maybe exactly tied with you. But like we have the same record, but your points scored is way higher than mine.
I started off to a pretty bad start, but yeah, I think it's Eric and someone else above me. I don't remember who's number
Wes,
one
maybe.
anymore. I beat Wes last week.
Andrew. Andrew is number one.
Oh, I think you're right. I think it's Andrew, Eric, then myself, and then kind of Wes.
Yeah,
and
I know more about baseball than I do about fantasy football, and I don't know much about baseball, despite all the Texas Rangers swag that is sitting behind me right now.
Apparently, you don't have to know a lot to win.
That's right.
Yeah, that is true. My problem is I've done pretty well since we started the Youtini Fantasy League. However, every year we add more people, and my ability to do well with that many more people drafting becomes much worse.
There's
so
14 teams.
Yeah,
the pickings are slim when you need a new player.
Yeah, the running back waiver wire is just a shit show every week.
I spent half my waiver money on like getting a 3-point running back just because I needed someone.
He's on the 2 deep. I don't care. I'm taking him.
Yeah.
But anyways, with sports out of the way,
enough sports. Let's talk about comic books.
Yeah. We do have a slight amount of news. It's more really just updating news that we talked about last week, which was the Hyperspace Stories graphic novels. They announced Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon were getting graphic novels from Dark Horse. They released the rest of the slate, at least I guess for the time being. Who knows how long this will keep going. But the other characters we're getting graphic novels for are Luke Skywalker, Princess Leia, Mace Windu, Rey, General Grievous, Kylo Ren, and Darth Vader. I mean, kind of the lineup you would expect, I would say. But I mean, I'm still excited to see most of these characters.
I like the one that kind of gives me the most like maybe surprising is like Grievous and then Rey as well. Like those are
he's a little out there for. I mean, if you had to pick one that was not like the other, it is definitely General Grievous of this lineup.
It's sort of if you were to like task a focus group to pick the most popular Star Wars characters of each era, this is the list you would come up with.
I'd probably swap Grievous and Darth Maul for
that's fair
for focus group kind of results.
We joked when we were last on about because Mace has that comic coming out from Marvel. We're like, he's probably getting one of the hyperspace too, and he is. So this will be our third canon Mace comic before any of the other Jedi get one.
Exactly, but it makes sense they do Grievous instead of Maul because we've already had 3 different canon Maul stories.
2 plus probably an Age of Rebellion or not Rebellion Republic, I would guess.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
What's cool though is even though it's sort of a greatest hits of characters, most of these characters don't have any solo stories, or at least not much. Like Rey. There's shocking.
Yeah, I'm very excited for the Rey one.
It's not gonna be in an interesting era just because it can't be.
It's probably gonna. My money if I was betting, I'd bet on it being her just like a adventure on Jakku before the events of Force Awakens. That's probably. What's
I'm kind of banking in something kind of like Spark of the Resistance. It's sort of her training.
I think it's
we don't get to see Luke or Leia.
I think it's between 8 and 9. I think it's like that time with the Resistance.
That is probably the next biggest possibility especially because Resistance Reborn, she was clearly we're putting her on a shelf and we are not talking about her in the story.
And she had a book that I was like, oh, this is going to show what she was doing, but her lightsaber's not like the Skywalker saber's not even in that book. It's just her and a little bunny rabbit running around a planet from what I remember.
Oh, we had Allegiance. That was that was after The Last Jedi, I think. Yeah, because she's with Aftab and all that.
Yes, I forgot about it. Anyway, we've gotten bits and pieces, so maybe we'll fill in a little more there. Grievous could be cool because we know so little about him.
Yeah, that'll be fun. So that's the cast of characters we're looking at least for the time being. No idea when they're coming out. I would get probably at least that's a year and a half worth of releases for them, at least.
And that's on the schedule calendar. Who knows what'll happen.
And then they're and some of the writers are, so this is probably not the exhaustive list because unless people are doubling up. So some of the additional writers are Cecil Castellucci, Justina Ireland, and Michael Morici. So I'm
excited for my Lompop cameo.
Yeah, David Lompop has to get in there.
Oh God, what's the Hynestia? Is that the planet?
Hynestia, that's her.
Yeah, that's her planet. Yeah, and then artist Michael Atiyah and Nick Brokenshire. So
Man, Nick Brokenshire is great.
Oh, yeah.
I love him.
Speaking of, hold on.
We're holding.
This is not news really, but I think we have to point out the Monster of Temple Peak and Other Short Stories, very weird title, or Other Short Stories trade paperback came out this past week, and this is a very momentous, I would say, occasion, because this is the story time. Monster of Temple Peak was a 2021 IDW comic miniseries that was originally solicited as a graphic novel. Like the Hyperspace Stories ones, it was supposed to be one solid book that you just bought. And then they're like, no, never mind. It's going to be 4 single issues. So those were sold by IDW in the United States and other places. And then with IDW losing the license, it was never collected as a trade paperback in the United States, as along with High Republic Volume 3, or High Republic Adventures Volume 3, sorry. Mm-hmm. So this is the first time this has ever been collected in the United States. 2 years later, not only does it have that, though, it has the annual High Republic Adventures annual, which was also never collected anywhere.
That's not true. That was in the volume 2 of IDW. This is
it was.
It
I knew, because I knew the
from not in the
Free
volume
Comic Book Day one is
of the UK one. So it's like,
God.
I mean, we are literally obsessed with this stuff, and we can't keep it straight.
So it has that. And it also has a very Nihil interlude, which is like, I think, a very Glupshido-y type story, like one that you have to be a real sicko to know. It was a Justina Ireland and Nick Brokenshire comic backup story from Star Wars Adventures 2020 issue 14, I think.
That's the one, yeah.
Yeah. And it's just, it also has Devil on Pop is also another. Yeah. So,
but it's big because it's not only the first time that series has been collected here. In theory, barring some crazy stuff, we are done with phase one.
Phase 1 is finally done. We have every short story. We have every comic that has been collected somewhere. That's not. I mean, obviously this stuff's been out.
Back, like the Marvel, like we are done. I never want to buy these comics again. But if they offer them in a new format, my dumbass will.
Omnis. There's going to be like a massive omni of all the extras.
I don't know. I have several of these comics in like 3 or 4 different formats, and that's without buying singles.
Yeah,
I'm kind of sick of it, but I'm glad. And also, it doesn't quite match the other Dark Horse Phase 1 trade. But
okay, so it's close. It's
okay.
We're at the point where basically it seems like the paperback omnis have kind of settled into a format, and the other trade paperbacks have kind of settled into a format. If they release a hardcover, God help you. But we have 2 formats that are mainly like the spines have kind of started to become consistent.
Yeah. If we, I don't know what analytics we can access, but there's got to be a drop in listeners every time we talk about book sizes. But it's like me and Jacob's favorite.
Yeah, they're like, all right, I'm done. No, they hit the sports section. They hit like fast forward 30 seconds a couple times. They get to book formats. They hit it a couple more times, and then
now we're talking about comic books.
But yeah, so
no. If we jump forward a little bit.
But yeah, very exciting that Phase 1 is finally collected in a format that most people can readily buy.
Yeah, literally 1 week before the first novel of Phase 3 comes out.
Mm-hmm. And Phase 2 is still not done because the short stories collection was pushed to next March. So
we still have Volume 2 of High Republic Adventures,
and that short stories collection has a original short story in it, apparently.
Possibly.
But they said that about Volume 1 or Starlight Stories, and that did not happen. So anyways, that being said, enough sickos talk. Things we've been reading. I actually have quite a bit I've been reading this week. First off, another sickos mention, the Jackson Annual. So this started with Celebration London was when this kicked off.
Yeah.
It was Celebration London. They're like, here's this cool Jackson Annual written by Cavan Scott, because of course it is. And it was, you could buy it at Celebration London, or you can buy it off of Dark Horse's website. And I'm like, oh, it's like $20 or $15 or whatever. That's kind of expensive for a single issue comic, but we'll see. And then I'm like, I think I'll get it. I added to cart, and then shipping was like another $20. I'm like, oh, never mind. I'm absolutely not paying that much for this comic. And I'm like, I'll just wait for a non-convention exclusive version of this to come. And this was last April, or This
it was
April.
it was 6 months ago.
April,
and
yeah.
Yeah,
there's still
7 months
no
ago or whatever.
sign of a new
Yeah.
one coming, but there's been 2 more exclusive versions since
Technically 3 there,
Yeah,
because the
black and
Mike
white.
Mignola was the original one, then a Mignola black and white,
Yeah.
and then I can't remember who was the other artist. And like
It was what's his
and
name?
these covers were all like shown off at least a long time ago, and we've just been
Right.
waiting for them to actually come out. This one was a New York City Comic-Con one. Finally bit the bullet and got it. Yes, it was way too expensive.
Yeah.
So far again, seems like there's no retail version of this that's ever going to happen, but
Yeah, which fits because all the Jackson stories from the IDW run are also have not been collected, among a few other things. So,
but that was a very fun story.
It's a cool story.
Yeah,
if
I
you
loved
ever
it.
get a chance to read it,
yeah, if you want to pay $40 for a single issue comic. But so I read that. I read Podamer and Freefall, which was pretty good. I liked it. I'm excited to go back and reread the Rebellion one shot because I did not understand that, and there are characters from Freefall that are in that comic book. I'm like, oh, I was like, Gentry, that's the dude. So I'm gonna go reread that. 8 Billion Genies, that's non-Star Wars, but Charles Soule wrote it, and it's so good. Oh my god, it's so good.
Have you finished it yet?
Yeah.
It's like the perfect comic story. I feel like it's like, hey, we're going to have 8 issues. I love when like something has like a really perfect, like arguable word, but perfect like design. Like he's like, you could tell like what he almost had like an Excel sheet or a whiteboard. Like where he like marked out all the characters, all the like the time frames he was going to be telling the story. It's amazing.
Yeah, I would definitely I'm very happy I read it in omnibus format. I don't think I would have liked it waiting month to month. Just reading it single issues. I think it's just a very good, like, just set aside an evening and just read the thing. It's fantastic.
Yeah, I did it the same way like a month ago. I just read it myself, and it's pretty cheap. The hardcover, you can get it for like $30.
It's I think I got mine for 40, but
yeah. I'm sure a paperback version will come at some point. Brief dip into Sicko World. They also just released a one shot.
Or was it Wish World? I think is what it's called. It's
not going to be like crucial to the story, but maybe they'll do more, and then we'll have like a sort of a companion volume.
It's probably gonna be $30 to get that one. So I'm like, I'm good. I was like, if it was if it was on one of the other enclaves, I think it would have been really sick. But it's set in New York City, which I'm sure will still be cool. But I'd rather have seen like Dougland or something. Like that'd been fun. So I read that, and then the last thing I'll say, another Sickos read was the first High Republic short story came out for Insider for Phase 3, Tales from the Occlusion Zone, and that was it's really good. It has I'm not gonna like spoil it or anything, but it has Joss and Pika Adrian back. So like our first short story all the way back in 2020 December. People are coming back. It starts on Iriadu. So like, we got an emergence wrecked world. You have another Phase 1 tied character that I will not spoil. And they're going to the storm wall. So I was like, you got me. Like we're tying things back to Phase 1 in ways that make sense, but setting things up for Phase 3. I'm excited. So I say this every time. If you want to read Star Wars Insider and you have a library card, try Libby. I read it for free every single time. Don't pay for it if you want, but you can read it for free legally on Libby.
Also, you can pay for it when the collection comes out. That's how. I mean, also,
but
that's buy a library card. But that is how I support it. It's expensive if you don't care about the rest of the magazine. It's a lot of money for 6 pages of story.
Yeah.
And also read them. They've been really good. Phase 2, I know Jacob's a big.
I like Phase 2
for what's his face from.
Oh, Keth Sarapath. Yeah,
Keth Sarapath. Caleb, what have you been reading?
Oh, speaking of Phase 2, I did finally beat. I read literally and finished like 2 days ago. Cataclysm. I keep wanting to call it Convergence because like the whole point of that story is everyone converges on Dalna, and there's a big like event on Dalna that everyone gets to. So, but it is a little cataclysmic, I guess. So it's but I keep calling it it's the Star Wars. It's the Convergence. Nope, it's the Cataclysm one, and that has like I don't want to use this term like lightly, and make me think, but it kind of redeemed the entire phase 2. It's like phase 2 was pretty okay up till like Battle of Jedi, which I was a little confusing, but then that book, like, finally I was like, oh, okay, I feel this is like a mini adventure. Like, this is like phase 1 in like miniature here.
I think post Battle of Jeddah, it gets a lot better. Like
Battle of Dalna, it's so weird that it basically jumps right from Battle of Jeddah to Battle of Dalna. But the Battle of Dalna is so hype.
Like,
you get some good Yaddle content in there.
I was doing the audiobook, and like the battle started, like I was looking at the time left. I'm like, I'm halfway through this book. There's no way they can drag this out throughout the entire for like another like 8 hours of audiobook. Fun fact, they do, and it's great. It's amazing.
And I love and then it's also like from like kind of speaking about that experience more. It's like they're like, and these other Jedi are underground. I'm like, who are you talking about? What is going on?
Well, I think I'd already read was it the Path of Balance? I'm like, oh, that's Master Arkov's dude. They're like, Jedi underground. It's like, oh, that must be those guys. It's like, oh, this is all like kind of like tying together. It's really good. Like the first part of phase 2 was like maybe a little bit slower, but if you haven't gone into it, dear listener, I feel like phase 2 is really come into its own, because it's almost like a very miniature version. It's like takes all the, I don't want to say bloat, but let's say the word bloat of the phase 1, and like, all the various different things, and kind of condenses it into like one like miniature pill. Then it's kind of like a little rest period, like a little interlude or side story that we can then get back to the rest of phase 3.
Yeah, I loved phase 2. Convergence was a little slow for me, but I have heard that from a lot of people that it started slow and then ended hype. I got a text literally yesterday from someone who finally got like halfway through Path of Vengeance, and he's like, oh, okay, yeah, I love this.
Yeah.
There's a lot of real exciting stuff, a lot of payoff if you read it all. I know we are broken records, but check out Edge of Balance Precedent.
Yeah.
So after I finished that one, then this is a bit of a maybe a spoiler warning, but I decided that I should go ahead and do face from a certain point of view
Return of the Jedi.
Empire Strikes Back.
Oh, okay, yeah,
nice.
Because we here as a team are going to be doing something with Empire Strikes Back soonish, but we'll just put that there.
It seems that we may revisit that film at some point.
If you are patreon.com/Youtini.
Hint, wink, wink. But yeah, I decided to go through that. So I'm about 3-ish stories in, 4-ish stories in. I definitely see what you get. Like, Jacob, you said before, like it was good, but like there's a lot of Hoth, and I'm like, oh boy, like there's some really good stories here.
Oh yeah,
I feel like
there's a lot of Hoth. Not just like a lot, but like a lot of just random ass characters, like even more random than the Cantina had.
Like I'm on the story where like essentially it's the guy that walks between Han and Leia that one time.
Oh yeah, Chase Wilsor.
It's a great story. I freaking love this. Like Chase and Jake.
I don't remember his boyfriend's name. I'm sorry.
Like Jacob or something like that.
He rides a tauntaun. That's all I remember.
Yeah,
it's wild.
There's a story from the Wampa, I think.
Yes, voiced by the voice actor is Sam, not Whitaker, but Witwer. Yeah, so he does his best Darth Maul impression there.
Yeah. It's funny calling it a Darth Maul impression, considering he is the voice of Darth Maul.
Okay, but he's playing a Wampa who's also channeling a little it's like 20% Darth Maul in there.
I don't think he can do anything halfway. He read the Sidious story in The Return of the Jedi, and I couldn't finish it.
I had to stop.
He digs in deep.
I read it physically, but every Sidious audiobook, I can't do it.
It's a lot to hear that voice do like prolonged
for like 30
dialogue.
Minutes. Yeah.
Oof.
But
I feel like I would want to actually slow that down to like 8% to 80%. Speed,
I love those Fact Pop books though.
I'm my favorite one, Caleb. I'm excited for you to read it eventually. Is the Space Slug story, and that's not a joke. It is fantastic.
Okay. Like, because sometimes like the Wampa story was pretty good. Like the Dagdanga story from the
Dianaga. The force sensitive Dianaga.
That was. It was okay. I'm surprised I remember it. That's kind of how I feel. It's like, it didn't leave much of an impression. So, it's kind of hard to write a story about like barely sentient creature here. But if you say it's good, I'm
the
excited.
Exodus one is
get to it.
very high concept.
Yeah.
Very long timeline. It was really fun to map on my timeline of it.
Just that and the Sarlacc story from Return of the Jedi.
Yeah, which I got to revisit that project, but we're not going to bore y'all with timeline talk. Come see me on Star Wars Archives sometime.
Yeah, or Discord. We're kind of. Should we even talk about the timeline?
Yeah. So
debacle?
Go ahead and ask me what I've been reading because I got a couple answers here. Which is
Oz, what have you been reading?
Okay. Well, first off, on a slightly downer note, I just finished reading this collection called It Was a War of the Trenches and GD This War. I don't know what rating we are here. Anyway, it's a French comic about World War One, which is like the most hoity-toity sentence I've ever said in my life. It's by a guy named Jacques Tardy. It is translated in English. It's outstanding. I got it as a gift last year for Christmas. Finally read it. I'm not going to talk a lot about it because it's super depressing because, like I said, World War One. But now on to more fun stuff. I think I have mentioned this before. The Ultimate Universe is back. Marvel's Ultimates yesterday, as of this recording. Ultimate Universe #1 came out, which is really just the 5th issue of the little mini series they just did called the Ultimate Invasion. I'm not going to get deep into it because we'd be here for an extra hour. I love these comics. Jonathan Hickman is a fantastic writer. I don't know if he'd fit well with Star Wars, but I want him to come try.
Has he? I'm thinking of who am I thinking of?
I don't know.
I'm probably thinking of Jason Aaron. I was like Jonathan Hickman. I don't think he's ever done Star Wars.
No. He does a lot of like really high concept and like.
I know his Fantastic Four run. Super
his
famous.
Fantastic Four run is so good, but you have to, I think, give up a fair amount of like freedom to do the Star Wars comics because you got to fit in the box. You have what you can do. Whereas he'd want to like be like, all right, I am making all the decisions for Luke Skywalker, and like, well, you can't do that.
Let him do a vision one shot. I don't know, whatever.
Yeah,
like give him something like that where we can have fun.
Give him some out of the timeline,
right. And then another final dip into Phase 1. We did get
the Vanessa Rowe's first appearance. That is not her first appearance.
Is the first comics appearance of Vanessa Rowe, which it's a reprint of High Republic #5 from Phase 1. Weird issue, obviously. Yeah, great jumping on point. It's a terrible jumping on point, actually. It's
like the culmination of an arc.
It's the last issue of the first trade paperback. It's a good issue. I think it's the issue I have art from behind me, or that might be issue 4. But it's funny that they're like pre-marketing for the Acolyte. Get your Vanessa Rowe gear. It's free if your comic shop has it.
Yeah, you can check it out. It came out. They do these like free Halloween comic book. They did a reprinting of Doctor Aphra #1 from a couple years ago.
That makes way more sense.
Yeah, no, for sure. So, but it's labeled as the first appearance of Vanessa Rowe. I think we've talked about this before. She's only in it for like 3 pages, and she's actually she's not a major part. I had to double check to actually set her name. Because it's like a cutaway kind of type of thing.
Right.
They do. But and then also her first appearance is actually in issue 4. So
that's so funny. Does she? I remember when they announced this, we were like, what is it even going to be? And we went through and counted. I think there's 10 total pages she's on throughout the entire run.
Yeah.
Because she's not in this comic book. But go ahead and get your collectibles.
Yeah, I was like, I picked it up because it's free, but
I am watching our timer here, and I will be brief on this. But Jacob teased at this, and I got in the mail today. As far as we know, as far as we can tell, this is the only copy that a non-retailer has anywhere. We found out about this weird, different version of Star Wars Timelines. If you can't see me, if you're just listening, I'm holding up. It is a very similar cover to the one we know and love.
Slightly different.
It popped up on eBay the other day. And someone asked in our Discord if anyone knew about it, and we didn't. So we were all talking about it, and I was like, okay, I'm going to buy it and find out because it has a sticker on it that says 8 pages of exclusive bonus content.
This is like, breaking news, I think, on this podcast right now.
Yeah, we're breaking this wide open.
Like maybe we're breaking someone's poor NDA out there that we didn't sign.
No, it's not that.
So we were speculating, what it was. Is this like an early proof? Like an advanced reader copy, because you could see the ISBN number in the eBay listing that turned up nothing. Jacob is tweeting at people, DMing like customer service from DK and Penguin Random House, and all they gave us, they said, what? It's a retailer exclusive.
A retailer exclusive. Released in, this is what they said, retail exclusive from June 2023. It is out of stock and there are currently no plans for reprints. That is all they said. They didn't say where. Someone else had tried to ask them where, and they're like, wherever books are sold.
Yeah, no,
like, that's not exclusive.
I've been to so many places where books are sold, and I've never seen this.
And like we are doing deep dives. We're checking Barnes and Noble. We're checking Target. I'm doing like advanced Google searches. Checking.
Going to the second page of Google.
Every place every place you can possibly find. I'm going and so we could not find anything.
I've had it for about 6 hours now. There are indeed 8 pages of new content. 4 of those pages are just 2-page stills from the movie, or from the relevant movie, and then 2 of them are new spreads that don't add a lot.
Nope.
Don't rush out to buy this if you're not a completionist. It sounds like there are some more copies from this eBay seller.
Yeah.
A couple people have already ordered them. I don't think anyone else has gotten it in yet. There's also a map of the galaxy, which may be updated versus the one they gave us at Celebration. I have not fact-checked that yet. So at this time, it's November 2nd at 8:13 p.m. We don't know where it's from. The latest tip-off, Bro Dameron
Costco
says maybe it was from Costco. I'm not sure where he got that.
He said he had someone visit Costco lately and like see it in person. So because I'd even checked Costco's website before we were doing all this research and it wasn't there. But Costco's books, I don't know if you like. It's a weird. Costco's books is like an outlet store. It's like literally like I feel like they're just buying pallets from people and just dumping it in the middle of the store. So you may or may not find them.
I'm going to my Costco tomorrow. I'll let you guys know.
Keep an eye out. Please. It's apparently maybe $20 if you find it there.
Which is definitely not the cover price. It is cover price $50, just like the main.
But even the regular version, it's like the kind of thing. It's like the cover price is $50, but I'm pretty sure it's almost always like $25 or $30 on Amazon. Yeah. So
otherwise, it's identical. It's the same. Whoops, knocking stuff over. It's the same size as it's a little thicker because the poster pocket in the back, I think, and maybe the cover's a little thicker.
Right.
It's so odd. I don't know that any of us have ever found a surprise special edition that's from 5 months ago. And no one on the internet knows about it. I posted it on Reddit and no one has heard of it. And so I'm getting all these messages like, send me more information.
We're like, there's none.
Someone just made like $500 on eBay this week because all of us
they went to Costco and bought a ton of copies and flipped them for 2.5 times profit.
I don't know, it's just wild. We're approaching 5 minutes on this, so I think that's where I'll cut it off. But if you happen to know about this book, let us know. Although if you're listening, you're probably in our Discord.
And also, probably by a week from now, the mystery has mostly been solved. But
by the time this airs, it's possible we know the answer. But stay tuned. We'll check back in.
It's so funny that people make complaints or jokes about like book marketing being bad. They're like, wow, like you're releasing this book in a week and we haven't heard anything about it yet. This is the word, like this is like takes it to a whole another level where it apparently came out months ago and no one knew it existed. So literally no one knew.
There's no documentation on this book. I dare you to find anything on the
that
internet
is not generated by one of us.
Yes, because it is now on Wikipedia, and someone even commented on Reddit. Wikipedia says the source is Trevor, which has your name in it, Jacob, and that's all that we have. So this search is now documented on the Wook. And I'm going to go ahead and claim I'm the first fan to own this book until we get it disputed. This may become a grail like the what is it? The Art of Star Wars Uprising, which there are 10 known copies of,
and has last sold for I think $1,500.
Yes, so this is my kid's college fund right here.
This is like finding somehow one of those Walmart exclusive comic books that they're like, we just packed 3 in 1 and sold it at Walmart, and you can never find them anywhere.
Right. Well, with that, let's get into Doctor
The
Aphra.
comic books, yeah.
Oh yes. The
So
first time we're going to talk about her since the reboot here.
Yes, this is true. We're shortly making our way around to the comic books. We have not touched since then. Hopefully, we will talk about Valance before he is cut out of our lives next year. But anyways, we're talking about Doctor Aphra number 37. This is written by Alyssa Wong with pencils from Mikyu Jung and Jethro Morales, and the colors from Rochelle Rosenberg. I just combined her names. But Caleb, what happened?
Yes. Okay. We're mainly talking about issue 37. It's kind of in the middle of an arc here. The last couple issues, Doctor Aphra, who is now fully under the employ/thumb of Domina Tag, it was sent to investigate an old warehouse holding prototype battle droids that were kept powering up by themselves and killing every sentient around. They investigated that, barely got out by the skin of their teeth, and now they're at the Casus Belli, Domina's flagship, to report that there appears to be a murderous droid hive mind running around. At the same time, the B plot, Manga Tolvan here and her crack team of rebel agents are sent to find a Silver Arrow, a rebel transport that's gone silent. On board, they are quickly overwhelmed by the Scourge's droid forces, and all but Magna are killed, while the hive mind slowly begins to take over. Back on the main plot here, as Aphra, makes her way through the Casus Belli, the droids begin acting up and killing the crew there, very much like what happened on the rebel ship, leading Aphra and Domina to make the same decision. Just crash the whole ship into the moon and scrap it all. As they're in the escape pod, Aphra talks to the Scourge, calling it the Spark, because that's what she assumed it was, but it reveals that it made the jump into cyborgs, and first into droids and now into cyborgs, prompting Aphra to realize that her ex-lover Tolvan is in bad shape here. So the only thing that she has left to do is to try to track down to find her former lover, who's gone rogue here. She has to turn to her other former girlfriend, Sanastaros.
This was a wild issue.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Oh man.
It's like, so I know Alyssa Wong is a very big fan of body horror. They'll say that on Twitter a lot, and we got bits of that in the Spark Eternal stuff. Literally at one point, Kofan Ferris is shooting dismembered arms at people. But yeah, this is very freaky. I think Dark Droids has been dipping into horror, but I think this is the scariest one, or most disturbing one I've read so far.
It's definitely the scariest. Not this issue, but the issue before. It's there's a scene where Aphra and Lucky are being chased around a warehouse by these battle droids, and it's creepy because one will start talking to the other, one will continue on the sentence. That's always such a creepy image in my mind. Hive minds is when they finish each other's sandwiches and everything.
Right.
Oh, great Frozen reference. Thank you. But yeah, this was a freaky issue. We have seen now. We knew it for a while because a cover kind of spoiled it. But Magna, Lobot, and Valance are all corrupted now by the Scourge,
which we also saw happen at the end of Dark Droids 2, I think.
Yeah.
So,
I think it was 3. I think it was the most recent one.
Either 2 or 3. One of them we'll have to. Again, publication timeline strikes again.
Here, I can pull it up real quick.
I think it's the second one. I checked earlier, but also that was a little while ago.
No, it's 3. It's the very last.
Yeah, I think it's 3.
Okay. Yeah. Well, anyway, so yeah, we saw it in 3, so we knew this was coming. But it's cool, and we've got a great trifecta coming up here of Aphra, Magna, and Sana.
Mm-hmm.
All being, and we've got a nice little triangle going
on. We've had this discussion internally about where to place Sanastaros, the miniseries, on the timeline. I think, Caleb, if you go to that next panel, the last picture we have, I think that looks like her family's home on where are they from? Hosnian Prime, is that?
I think that's it, yeah.
Possibly.
Yeah. It looks kind of similar to like where she rolled up in that series. I don't think she actually ended, like the series ended with her back on Hosnian Prime, but this is like kind of close to that.
I was pretty sure. I mean, we had this discussion just the other day. I was pretty sure that was not like an origin story, prequel, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
We had some disagreement there. I think
we're all settled. Yeah, you did win.
So, but I assume the next issue she'll kind of talk about what she went through with her family and those adventures. Which, if you haven't checked out the Sauna miniseries, it's actually pretty fun. I just finally read it like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, it's great. We talked about it quite a bit on the show.
I think that was a pre-episode. I think that was one of our episodes right before we were.
Yeah, I don't know. We probably talked like there's 5 issues. We probably talked about it at some point.
Yeah, try again 4 issues.
Whatever. No, this one was 5, right?
All right. No. No. I am looking at the thing where I guess. Oh, okay. We have 4 issues in our preview drive, but we have 4 issues listed, but there are 5. I think we're missing 1. But there were 5 issues, and Justine Ireland, I think you should write more comics. You did a good job there.
True, and we will get there writing again with Hyperspace Stories at some point, probably in the next 2 years. So I think this was a great issue. I am, just like the horror that we saw. Like, I think I included. There's a panel where like the red shirt basically is like on the operating table.
No, I don't have it here. But
okay.
Yeah. Oh, wait. Yeah. There it is. Where it's actually getting like injected. Like, I feel
it's metal.
It's bad. I don't think we've ever seen like someone like being forced to watch someone die in Star Wars. It's real. Like you really get the like Magnus like Tolvan's like her emotions here. I do feel a little bad. Like, it seems like every time we're introduced to like, look at our plucky team of crack rebel commandos and each one with unique characters. Like, oh no, please don't. Look, they have pithy dialogue and get along swell. Like, please no. We all know this is not going to get
Bounty Hunters did the same exact thing where they're like, we got some new bounty hunters that are coming in with Keltana or whatever her name is. Yeah. And they're going to team up with Valance. And then like immediately Valance just like blows one of their heads up. And I'm like, oh, all right, cool.
Exactly.
Yeah, you're right that like we don't really talk about it, but torture is like a very central part of Star Wars, but it's always kind of glossed over. Like the first time we see Leia, there's the interrogator
droid. Yeah, in episode 4, Han gets tortured in episode 5.
Yeah, the Gonk droid gets his
tortured
feet.
In episode 6.
Yeah, there's a lot of it, but it's not usually this visceral. I mean, the only time it exceeds this is in Andor when they make her listen to the children getting murdered, but that's a little different. That's Andor. This is like, it's pretty intense. And I loved the scene earlier. You had the payoff panel up, but when they're like, all these humans were stabbed very precisely, and then you realize it's like the kitchen droid has gone on a rampage. That's pretty hardcore.
And I'm really excited that we're getting some payoff from the end of Hidden Empire with like making this connection to the Spark Eternal, because that was like I remember when Hidden Empire 5 came out, I'm like, what is going on? Because like it's like the Fermata cage blows up or like opens up and you get this just like little disc that pops down. Like it looks like Brainiac from like Superman comics. I don't know what's going on. And it turns out that, that ended up being one of the, like the little bugs that the Spark uses, or the Scourge uses to infect people. The Spark Eternal had hopped into that. We see, and I think it was Dark Droids number 3, the Scourge is like, well, the Spark Eternal figured out how to meld with humans, but I can't, like, I've like lost the Spark Eternal, my network somewhere, essentially. So it's really cool to see that. I'm like, it talked about the Scourge, like, also lost or like got betrayed by Sith at some point. I'm very curious with it being the Fermata cage if Momin was involved in that, because like the last time we see the Fermata cage was Momin had shot it at a planet. Maybe he was shooting it at a planet because the Scourge was on it to like try and like wipe it out, like it's a plague essentially, and that's how it got trapped up there. But I am very much liking the Aphra series right now.
Well, even in the arc before this, I feel like this series has dealt with the fallout of the events better than the others. Like the others, it's kind of been like event, then a side story, and then an event. Whereas this one, the Luke and Aphra arc still was very much like about how he's kind of losing his touch with the Force post Fermata Cage, and she mentions how Vader's going beast mode now. Which that was I just read that arc finally in preparation for this, and that I know it's a bad pun, but that is a weird arc. The Star Weird,
the Star Weird arc.
Oh,
Man,
yes.
I love that arc. I think
it was really cool. I want more adventures just like that. I'm liking Dark Droids. I say this every week though. I'm ready because it feels like we've read this comic since we've seen it play out similarly in the other books. Like, yeah, the droids have purple eyes, and we get to see everyone sort of discover that, which is neat. But also, I miss Aphra just like being out on her own thing.
Yeah,
making terrible mistakes.
Yeah,
sleeping with her
one after another,
like sleeping with her boss.
Right. You call that a mistake? But no, I think all the series, all 4 series had their 2 issues post Hidden Empire to like bridge us to Dark Droids. They were all fantastic.
Right.
And yeah, I think that was the first time Aphra and Luke have teamed up since Screaming Citadel.
I think so.
Way back in 2017, 16 or 17. Yeah.
It was so funny because like the Aphra's story kind of ends in issue 31, and then there's just like a quick little postscript, and she's got Luke in a box all of a sudden. You don't really see how she found him, or
it's like, don't worry about it.
Yeah, like
he's here.
I got him.
Listen,
that was
the destination is more important than the journey.
Right.
That was also
cool.
That was also such a crazy time for like the ongoing series because like, hey, here's some new covers. Doctor Aphra has Shaak Ti and Ayla Secura. No, it's not a variant. And Bounty Hunters has Jango Fett on it, and we're like, what is going on?
Yeah.
Are we going to have a stroke on the timeline team again? Like, what's up?
I had no clue what the whole Shaak Ti and Ayla Secura thing was going to be. But it was I would love to see that flashback story fleshed out a little more.
I was so ready for Shaak Ti to die a 6th time in canon.
Well, what was it we were just talking about? Because in the Minecraft Star Wars thing coming out,
what?
Yeah. Minecraft does like weird DLCs every once in a while now. I don't know if I haven't played the game in like 6 years seriously. But yeah, it actually looked really cool. They had like a custom map that's like the Jedi Temple on Coruscant, and there was a Shaak Ti skin. And
I was just like, Minecraft has the chance to do the funniest thing ever. For those who don't know, Shaak Ti has had like 7 deleted scene deaths that like never stick.
She died a deleted scene in Revenge of the Sith. She died.
Didn't she? Video game. Anakin hunts her down. I think it's a separate.
Force Unleashed 2. I think she also dies.
In Force Unleashed 1.
Okay. She dies in the Bad Batch.
That one is now her current actual,
I think,
canon death, as far as
because we don't actually see her. We just see what we think is her lightsaber like hitting the ground.
Right. Yeah. So anyway, so when we saw Shaak Ti on the cover of Aphra, we kind of joked. But that story was clearly during the Clone Wars because they call her General, and that was a really cool story. I love the crazy Force objects that Aphra finds. Like, it took me a while 5 years ago to get into it. It's been 7 years since she got her first. It wasn't 2016, 2017, whenever it was.
She debuted in 2015,
right? But like
Vader, but her first series was 2017.
Okay,
yeah,
so 6 years ago, I was like, what is this crazy shit she keeps finding? And now I'm all for it. So we've got, anyway, now she's doing the Dark Droids thing. But I'm really excited for this Jilted Lovers Triangle that we're about to see again.
Like, I'm excited, but I feel like we also just like resolved this like with her previous story arc, So I thought Chess Camp got a little bit of resolution with her.
It is interesting to see her go back to Sana so fast.
Yeah, it was more like a new status quo where like Sana's like, you are not ready for this, and then she goes on a bender and like 2 issues ago or 1 issue ago, slept with a random person, got pickpocketed.
And after she slept with her boss. So like I
Right.
feel like that's like the most canonical
Yeah,
like sex in one issue in any character.
Yeah, that's
She
true.
she's going through it. She's in her rebound. It's messy, and now she has to run back to Sana because her other ex-girlfriend is now a zombie droid cyborg person.
Right. I feel like, I mean, it's kind of a competition between Aphra and Valence for like who can suffer more. And I guess Aphra's at least her own fault.
Well, I feel like Aphra's like
Valence
at least is maybe slightly comical.
Yeah.
Like, I know it's like I feel like I'm supposed to get humor or at least like joy from this. Like
That's fair.
Valence is I sometimes like I just feel bad for the dude.
Yeah, Valence is suffering. He's at least, well, he's not suffering anymore because his mind has been completely erased.
Remember it.
Yeah. So I guess that's good for him, I guess. And I am not, well, I'm not convinced he's going to live past issue 42 of this series. So
But the good thing is that's why it's called Bounty Hunters and not Valence, you know?
well, that's also when the series ends. So
Yeah. they're gonna kill off Bush and Forlom and all of them. They're all getting killed off.
Well, we have. Are we gonna see Dengar become Rothgar Deng or whatever his name?
God, I never want to see it.
There's a bounty.
It's a freaking Revenge or Rise of Skywalker visual dictionary reference.
There is a sequel era bounty hunter called Rothgar Deng that is and he's like cyborged up. It's just like
He looks like a Santaran from Doctor Who. If you know.
Okay, I'm pulling this up here. Wow, yeah,
there's a fan theory that it is Dengar.
I think it's pretty much confirmed in the visual dictionary. I mean, I don't know if it literally says it. It
was a male Corellian bounty hunter. I'm just looking at the book here.
It could be Valence. I mean,
that would be
actually no. Sorry, Valence is not actually from Corelli. He's from
but from West Virginia. He's from He's from Space West Virginia.
Yeah, right. Yeah. But Rothgar is
coal mines
from Corellia, so he like changes his name and his backstory.
Rothgar Dengar. Yeah.
No, I mean it's definitely intended to be Dengar. It's kind of like how Ilum wasn't confirmed to be Starkiller Base for a long time
until we played Jedi Fallen Order. And it's like, oh,
yeah,
there it is.
We had all guessed it for a while. I don't know what's coming for the Bounty Hunters crew, but we do get to see Valence here. He doesn't talk. Well, no, he doesn't even get to say his little like at last, like the others do.
Oh,
but
that's true.
I guess he will show up maybe in the next issue of Aphra, or he might just be in the background and go.
I don't think so. I think it's just a tease to show them all. I mean, because they're all on the cover of Dark Droids 4. So
yeah, it'll definitely be in Dark Droids, and then maybe Lobot will go after the Star Wars crew. Yeah, Valence after Bounty Hunters, and then we obviously know where Magna's going.
Yeah. Is there anything else we want to talk about for this issue? Because we actually have some rapid fire that we could do a couple minutes on.
I'm good. I mean,
let me just
like we said, it's a lot, but I think we covered it all.
Oh, just a quick question about the plot. Domina, like, do you think she'll still be showing up in the next couple issues? Or do you think she's will be recouping her losses here?
I think she lives at least through the end of. She probably live at least to the end of this series, and maybe she dies at the very end of it. But
I think Domina will survive this series pretty much no problem. I feel like this isn't the end of her series. I do wonder if she'll try to weaponize the Scourge. Do you think she will take a look at this and massive hive mind here?
I think the fact that she crashed her own research facility into a moon shows to me that she really wants this thing to not exist, and probably understands she cannot control it.
Right? Yeah, because if she can't be in control, then she doesn't want anyone else to be. I don't think she's done with this, because the way she's looking out the window there after she crashes her ship, she's like, "All right, I gotta find out who's doing this to me." Because that cost her a lot of money, and that's like their whole thing.
Yeah,
exactly.
So pretty cool. She also needs to live because I need the resolution for the Ubi's bounty hunter group, Bausch,
and his crew, and his tight knit crew of cool.
Because
she definitely will live super long.
Yeah, she said she would get them back to Uba 4, so that's what I need. But great issue. We have a couple that have come out in the past 2 weeks that we can talk about a little bit. First up is D Squad number 2, another candidate we could have had for our main focus, but I mean, it's more of D Squad number 1, but triple zeros in it. So I mean, that's pretty great.
It's a comic. I think I said this when we had our episode on it. It's a comic that shouldn't probably work or be entertaining for a 35-year-old father who's not reading it to his son. Like, I'm just reading it on my own. But it's so fun. Like, these panels where Chopper and R2 are just beeping at each other, and there's a lot of that.
And they're Looney Tunes scenes around, smashing into signs.
Yeah, it's like so silly, but it nails the tone. It's dark and it ties in well with the event. Like, it should not work out, but it does.
And 000, like, because BT1 is Scourged, and he's like off murdering people. So R2's like trying to explain to 000. 000's like, I don't see the problem. Like, that's what we always do. He's like he's doing a great job. Why would I mess with
he's
this?
killing droids, or he's hurting droids. Doesn't he say something like that?
I don't know.
Like, oh wait, no, he's supposed to be killing humans.
Yeah. It's like he seemed pretty normal to me.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then IG-88 comes back to collect bounties on them, and
in Forlom as well.
Forlom coming back.
Which, real quick, I've been meaning to ask this for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like in the comic he says 4LOM because
4LOM is the canon pronunciation, but I refuse to acknowledge that.
Has it always has that always been the case?
I don't know how long it's been the case, but I think since the canon refresh, it has been 4LOM.
Hate that so much.
It's Forlom.
Yeah,
it's Forlom.
Which on a similar side note, when we were watching Ahsoka, whenever that was, a month or two ago, and 3PO makes that cameo, and we had the subtitles on, and it spells out 3PO. My wife was like, "Wait, is his name a word?" I was like, "That's just how
it's complicated.
If it's in dialogue, if it's dialogue, you write out the word."
I do love Stars, but this is dumb. Like, why are they making this so complicated?
I don't mind that. I just hate that they call him 4LOM. Every other droid gets condensed into a word if they can.
It was funny because the High Republic Adventures #1 for Phase 3, or High Republic Adventures generally for Phase 3, there's a new droid character, and Daniel named it after his assistant, whose name is Sage, and it's 5AG3.
Okay.
And I'm like, okay, so it's in my like, we've known about this for a couple months now. In my mind, it's always like, when I see this robot, it's Sage, and then like someone posted, it's like, spelling out droid, it's 5A. I'm like, who is 5A? I'm like, right. It's a droid.
We're not using leet speak here.
Yeah, no.
Unless you want to, like Chopper is C110P.
C110P. So I guess there is a canon, like a precedent there.
Well,
or Chip.
Who's Chip?
Chip is the other C1 droid from the end of Clone Wars Season 7, when the ship is crashing with Ahsoka. There's like a bunch of droids that help her out. One kind of looks like, it's Chip.
Oh, cool. I didn't know that. You learn something new every day.
But so that was that. Star Wars 40, again, another banger issue with Lando and Lobot, and these flashbacks have been hitting. This one was on Alderaan, which was sick. Like, we don't get to see Alderaan we don't get to see Alderaan in general very much. So continuing to throw punches at my heart. We also had some silly banter between the Trowak droid and Lando before he just shuts him off. So
I know that this is basically serving that, but I would love for Charles Soule, when this is all said and done, to do another Lando Lobot adventure, whether that's a flashback or a continuation. Because I mean, we really know nothing of Lobot.
We don't even know how they met yet. So
do we? I don't know. So. But you know what I mean. We also don't know if Lobot lives past Return of the Jedi. Exactly. I'm not sure that he does.
Yeah, I think
in canon, and like in apparently in Battlefront 2, they say Lobot makes like a brief appearance.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I believe
Lobot
that
helps us take back Cloud City, so he does.
Yeah. Okay, so he at least gets past.
Yeah, I'm sure that there's something either there or in like a aftermath vignette chapter that I'd forgotten about that mentions him.
The highest of canon.
Yes.
Exactly. There's no way they'll refute that.
He writes these characters really well. I know it's like a cliche to say at this point because he's done like 20 Lobot issues basically. But it's a great pairing, Lando and Lobot. That it's crazy that it took us this long to like see this much of it.
Yeah, Lobot and I think Bouch are the two characters who are like, I never cared about you watching the movies. Like, why would I? And then you read these comic book issues, and you're like, oh my god, I love you so much. I don't understand what's happening. So yeah, Star Wars 40 banger. Hyperspace Stories number 10, which I actually have behind me. This is the first single issue I've read. This is the Bad Batch issue.
Getting that first.
Yeah, gotta get my first appearance.
Is this the last issue of the
No, there's two more. It's 12.
Okay, it'll be 12. Okay.
How was it? All right. I have not read this yet.
It was all right.
Yeah. This is firmly in the Clone Wars. Yes, like they're still Clone Wars 99.
Yeah, it is. It is during the Clone Wars. Anakin and Obi-Wan are there at the very beginning, at least. So it. Yeah, I don't know exactly when, but it's around there.
I'm looking forward to the. Oh wait, no, they're splitting them into 4-issue trades. I just forgot. That sucks. I'm looking forward to eventually having all these on my shelf.
Yeah, I have the first trade. I still have not read it, but eventually I'm gonna get around to doing it.
Yeah, they're pretty decent. I think it'll be fun when it's all said and done because there is a through line of the little stuff.
The teddy bear. Yeah. So we had that. Then that was it. 'Cause we were talking about Monster of Temple Peak kind of at the beginning. So next 2 weeks are so insanely stacked that we are going to probably have to split some things up a little bit. So we have Darth Vader 40, High Republic number 1, Shadow of the Starlight number 2, Doctor Aphra 38, Dark Droids number 4, Mando season 2 6, and the Visions Peach Momoko one shot. That's all in the next 2 weeks. Here is probably, I think, going to be the plan. We can talk about. We have to talk about the High Republic next week. It's just.
If it wasn't for High Republic number 1, I would say
it'd be a much more interesting conversation. I think we probably do a double feature of High Republic number 1 and Shadow of Starlight number 2. And honestly, if it's anything like Peach Momoko's other work, we could probably squeeze it in because there's probably no dialogue. Or very little dialogue.
Maybe I'll give you the spoiler. Oh man, it's so pretty. Oh man, it's so pretty.
We can show off some very pretty pictures at the end during the rapid fire.
I did not mention this when I talked about Ultimate Universe number 1.
Oh, so she's doing Spider-Man, right?
She's doing Ultimate X-Men. So this is launching 3 books. She is doing Ultimate X-Men. She's writing and doing the art. And I didn't know this
like interior art as well, not just
I didn't know this going into it. There was a 2-page little preview of her Ultimate X-Men, and guess what? It's weird. It's kind of like her
everything
Black,
she's
White,
done.
Red. Like this. I don't know if you can see this girl pulls. She's
having
her
a dream, brain,
and she pulls a little figurine out of her forehead.
Oh, okay.
It's Armor. If you're familiar with Armor, the X-Men character, it's a new take on that, but it's a very obscure character. Anyway. So I just today got to read some Peach comic, and I'm really excited to see what she does when she can just like cut loose with this Visions one shot.
So that is that. So our probably High Republic next week, not probably. And then we might do the following episode, just push Dark Droids 4 to that, and then maybe work in a tie-in issue. There's D Squad coming out in the next window. But we'll figure it out.
Maybe we'll do good and not wait half an hour to talk about comics.
Hey, as long as they don't sneak release another Star Wars reference book on us.
We will. We will at least update you on if we've learned anything new about the Timelines book. We won't talk for 20 minutes about it, hopefully.
And none of our teams are winning our World Series.
There's no World Series in the next 2 weeks. There's
all the other seasons are just getting started.
Yeah, but as college basketball will have started by then. I will be, hopefully not depressed. But
hey, y'all just won your exhibition game.
Yeah, beat Grace College it's an NAIA school in Indiana. But anyways, so I think we're done. It's been great chatting comics with y'all. But anyways, That'll do it for this week's episode of The Cosmic Force. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the show right here on YouTube, where you can watch us every other Wednesday. We also encourage you to subscribe to our audio version on whatever podcast platform you prefer, RIP, Google Podcasts. You can follow us on Twitter and tweet at the show at Cosmic Force Show. Stay informed about Star Wars comic news. You can also follow the host as well. I'm at Jacob Bausch, Caleb's at Caleb Laminack, and Oz is Oz. For reviews, articles, and news for the rest of the wide galaxy of Star Wars content, be sure to visit Youtini.com. We encourage you to join our Youtini Discord community by going to youtini.com/Discord, and you can help support the show by heading to patreon.com/Youtini and start receiving exclusive perks at just $5 a month. A special thank you to Brian Dooley, Earl Q, Carl Sanders, Zach W, Michael Fry, and Raymond Pazinski on our Jedi High Council, as well as James T, Ashley Angles, Colton Fife, and Chris Carrizzo on our Alliance High Command for their amazing support. Thank you again to Caleb and Oz for hosting with me, and special thanks to all of our listeners for tuning in. We really appreciate it, and may the Force be with you all. See you guys next time.
Go Rangers!
Woo! Woo.